and today we take the perspectives of an important member of the Occupy Ghana, a pressure group that calls for good governance and accountability in the Republic of Ghana. And the issues have been trending, and various aspects and facets have been provided to the Ghanaian people. Some think some of these MPs that were double-hearted and served as ministers of state were a bit insensitive to be drawing double salaries from the taxpayer. I'll shortly be joined by Mr. Sidney Kesle-Hayford, who is a financial consultant and a founding member of Occupy Ghana. But a few points that will be of interest to you. Article 71 office holders have got some privileges in terms of their emoluments. It says every member of parliament shall be paid such salary and allowance and provided with such facilities as may be determined in accordance with this article, Article 71 of the Constitution. And it says in clauses 1 and 2, the 1992 Constitution stipulates that the determination of the salaries and allowances of the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary paid from the consolidated fund would be determined by the President on the recommendations of a committee of not more than 5 persons appointed by him and acting upon the advice of the Council of State. But the Mahama administration came up for serious censuring and criticism because the matter under investigation is that the CID has, a smoking gun evidence that some MPs that served as ministers or deputy ministers were using 2 different accounts and drawing salaries from Parliament and also drawing salaries as ministers of state. Sometime in November 2015, Parliament was tasked to review the salaries and emoluments approved by the House for members of the executive. Former President Mahama revealed this at the second National Forum on the Single Spine Pay Policy in Takoradi in the Western region. He urged the TUC at that time to join hands to push forward the constitutional reforms, in which one of the reforms was to abolish Article 71 and replace it with an efficient and independent commission. So on the back of all of this, the boss of the CID started speaking to the issue, and a few members of parliament, many of them continue to be certain legislatures in Ghana, have been interrogated by the CID. And some of them have classified this a form of witch hunting, while others have said they are ready for any investigation that would put a reasonable closure to this debate. The position of Occupy Ghana is that the blame is shared. Ministers didn't pay themselves. MPs would necessarily be paid by somebody. So therefore the Controller and Accountant General's Department should share a portion of the blame. As a result of that, Parliament, under the able leadership of the Speaker, has put together a 2-man bipartisan committee to look at the merits and demerits of the arguments that have been bandied around since news broke about the potential that some people were taking more than one salary, one because they were MPs and the other because they served as ministers or deputy ministers. And this bipartisan committee is made up of Honorable Dr. Anthony Akoto-Osei, who is the Minister for Monitoring and Evaluation, and MP for Ho Central, Honorable Benjamin Podo. And these belong to the 2 sides of the aisle. So therefore, I believe this creates an opportunity for the Republic of Ghana to thoroughly and in a very non-partisan way investigate what really went down. A little breakdown of what we know so far about this case. Reports of the double salary payments emerged in the media sometime 2 weeks ago, about a fortnight ago, and further checks indicated that the CID department of the Ghana Police Service had issued an apology to the members of parliament that were mentioned. And some of those things that came up during a flagship and current affairs program was that the Constitution says a lot of things in terms of Article 71 office holders, and that the CID is headlong in looking at the veracity of such cases and whether people are innocent or should be held liable, and various developments and reports in the press. 48 names first popped up, many of them, of course, members of the former government. And then in 2012, 4 ministers took double salaries and are currently not serving in parliament. And in 2013, the double salaried appointees had skyrocketed to 22 MPs who were serving in various ministerial capacities as well. And by 2014, 18 were said to be involved in this scandal. And between 2015 and 2016, 15 or so appointees, 12 appointees took double salaries. In 2015 it was 15 people, and in 2016 it was 12 people. So between 2012 and 2016, when the erstwhile NDC regime was holding the fort, and some of the appointees were captured in all the data collated as a result of this painstaking investigation. But then the minority leader came out clearly to debunk such allegations, which the minority in parliament considers nothing short of witch hunting. But there was a little, change in the narrative when the majority leader came out to admit that, of course, at some point, taking double salaries would not be far from the reality in terms of MPs that serve as ministers or deputy ministers in government. And also the role of the Controller and Accountant General, as we will discuss thoroughly, came up for discussion. So tonight, what is the way forward? When my guest, Mr. Sidney Kisley-Hayford, joins me shortly, we will look at the various angles to the arguments that have been put forward, by Occupy Ghana. I'll go for a short commercial break, but before then, you can easily contribute to the discussion through our WhatsApp line, which is 0552 225911, and then you can also call us later on 0302 904768. We take a short commercial break. Stick and stay. I'll be right back. Kisley Hayford. Sir, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Kisley Hayford is no stranger when it comes to such intellectual and nonpartisan analysis of some of these trending issues. He's a financial consultant. He's done a lot of good analysis in the past few years and a leading member of Occupy Ghana, a political pressure group whose main objective is to ensure good governance and transparency. Sir, you're welcome.
This is the best introduction I've ever heard.
You deserve it,
anywhere.
sir.
Thank you.
You deserve it, sir. Thanks for making time with us.
You're welcome.
When news of people who served as MPs and ministers at some point broke that they were actually drawing double salaries, how did you receive it when it came to you?
I wasn't surprised at all.
Okay.
It's not the first time something like that has actually come out.
Okay.
So, no, I wasn't surprised.
And then, is it a marked departure from what you have seen, looking at how you've monitored the Ghanaian political space, at least since 1992? Was it a novelty that came to you, or is something you had, suspected all this while?
No, the Controller and Accountant General's Department has had a lot of problems for a long time.
Okay.
It's not only on this particular issue, but you've all heard, or we've heard stories about ghost workers on payroll,
okay,
people not being paid on time, people's salaries incorrect. It has been the source of many an agitation in the country, where the CAGD has not performed as well as it should. And it's not surprising. At one time in its history, it was so far behind with preparing the financial statements of the country. You know, the CAGD is the government's accountant.
Okay.
So it has to prepare and publish the financial statements periodically. And it has not done that. Every month it's supposed to issue financial statements. So it is no surprise. So for me, it was no surprise that this came up. As to whether it was their fault, it's still being debated. I think that the whole thing arose because of the integrity of the people who were being paid salaries. If here, as you're working at the end of the month, you get a check 2 times for the same month, you are bound to complain to somebody, or at least to let somebody know that, oh, Wafa, you've paid me twice. And then you do whatever is necessary to either refund it, or else you keep it and it's withheld from your next month's paycheck, something like that. So no, it was no surprise, and it's no departure from what has been going on in this country for so long.
And we've all signed contracts before. The first day you start working, you get your contract and you are told you are paid this X amount of money, and you decide which bank account you are paid through. In the case of MPs who served under the Mahama administration as ministers or deputy ministers, didn't they know that there were 2 streams of accounts that were receiving payments from the taxpayer at the end of every month? Why would then somebody feign ignorance, so to speak?
They knew. They knew because before you get your paycheck, you have to fill in a form. And that form is then processed and sent to the Controller and Accountant Generals. There are 2 places where the form comes from under the government.
Yes,
the first one is the Office of Parliament, who done the parliamentary services, who actually control Parliament's payroll. And then there's the ministers, which is controlled by the presidency, and that goes straight to the Controller and Accountant General's Department. So no member of Parliament can say they didn't know that their money was going into this account or that account. They all know.
Okay, so, but some of them surprisingly have taken umbrage at what has happened, as if they didn't know.
Yes, it's a smoke screen. It's a smoke screen because it's an attempt to try and divert attention from the real issues. The fact of the matter is, if you have received payment twice for the same service or for the same product, it is your duty to let the person who paid you, who overpaid you, paid you twice. It is your duty to let them know that they've paid you twice. It's as simple as that.
Were there in any good examples? Were there people who were double-hearted and noticed that, you know, anomaly with their payment? Were there people who raised red flags and returned what wasn't due them?
Yes, I mean, a couple of people, a couple of members of parliament and ministers who are my friends, told me, yes, it did happen to us, and this is what we did. By way of advice and sharing, I've been told. Okay. So they do know. You see, there are two systems at play here. Okay. There's the parliamentary payroll system that looks after all the members of parliament. Okay. They give strict instructions to parliamentarians and give them access so they can actually figure out or determine exactly how much it is that their salary is. Okay. They have this. It's an access code which they can use, so they know. Okay. The second one is the ministers, who are paid a different level, okay, and which is managed by the Controller and Accountant General. That system is what we usually hear in the papers or in the media. You call the IPPD system, the payroll payment system.
Yes, sir.
And that IPPD system actually now is electronic. So anybody who gets paid through the Controller and Accountant General's payroll system, you get an alert on your phone or by email, whichever you have opted for. Okay. And that comes to you every month. So you can see exactly what your salary is, what deductions have been made, the taxes you have been deducted, etc., etc. And it is done in such a way that you can actually look at all your history of payments, yes, going back a long way.
Yes,
so you cannot, under any circumstances, say that you didn't know how much was put into your account. By all means, once you are on the government payroll, you will know. Either way, whichever way it is, whether you are with the direct Controller and Accountant General system or whether you are on a subvented system, you will know.
Honorable Martin Amido has come out clearly to indicate that when he was serving as AG and he was, you know, in Parliament at some point, he received a double salary, but then he returned it. Would you say he is an angel in an island of unscrupulous and immoral people who are milking the nation dry?
Oh, this is not a very complicated. This is probably the simplest of corruption issues that you can find.
Yes, sir.
You've been paid double, return one. I mean, it can't be any more complicated than that. So I know other people who also received double payments and returned it.
Can you mention a few of them?
Oh, in confidence, people share this with you. You can't say that. I can say that somebody like Rashid Pelpo, okay, whose name has been put on the list and has been one of the persons who've been asked to go to
the CID.
The CID. His name is on the list, and he and I have spoken.
And you can vouch for him and say that he actually returned. Did he give you any documentary evidence, so to speak, sir?
I never said that. Okay. I'm saying that I know his name is on the list. Yes, as to how he resolved it, I don't know.
Okay. Other people were mentioned.
Plenty people have been mentioned.
Tall amongst them was, or is, the current minority leader.
Yes.
Haruna Idrisu. And we are told in confidence or behind closed doors, he sought audience with the president. Have you been let in on what he wanted to discuss with the president?
No, I don't know Haruna personally. I've never had a personal one-on-one conversation with him ever before. We've met at seminars and conferences, but we don't have a one-on-one exchange, so I don't know.
So where will this, bipartisan committee's investigation get? Or it will be one of these talk shops. We make so much noise, then this, fades out of the news cycle. Do you see an end in sight to this in a way that will hold people accountable? Some are calling for the prosecution of those people who took double salaries.
Like everything in Parliament, that looks like it is going to put Parliament in a bad light. I don't expect that the truth will come out. I expect more that there will be some attempt to try and smoothing it over. And like any institution which is trying to hold itself up as in a high standard,
yes,
you can expect that that will happen. But it will be a shame, because Parliament has a reputation that is going downward, and they need to at least do something that will make us, the people of this country, feel very, very noble about the people that we have elected in Parliament to look after our affairs. So let's see how it unravels. Let's not try and preempt the
we aren't
results.
putting the cart before the horse. But by then, can any other state institution investigate Parliament apart from what the CID is doing? Because we have thorough investigations or inquiries right now. The CID is running one, and there is a bipartisan committee, which is superior to the other, so to speak.
The CID is an independent institution. They have to do their work. Parliament cannot ask them not to investigate, so they will do their work. As to their internal committee, where it is their internal committee, and they can always find a way to stop it. But once CID have got their hands into it, or if Shraj should wade into it, or if Iyoko should get into it, or now, in this case, if the special prosecutor should get into it, he has every right to prosecute any of them. Don't forget that parliamentarians have immunity. But at this time, when Parliament is in recess, and they are not going to and from work, they are just as available to be interrogated as all of us are.
Okay, so technically speaking, after a fortnight, when parliamentary sitting resumes, the CID can't question MPs.
They can question them, but they will need permission from the Speaker. They will have to have express permission for them to be questioned.
Mr. Hayford, is this not one of the usual, vicious cycle of we did this, you are doing this in your time and all that? Will this get anywhere?
No. But it is a right step in our democracy,
yes, sir,
in our evolution. We can't expect to have everything at once.
Yes, sir.
Things have to go in stages. This is the first time ever I know where the CID is investigating a whole group of parliamentarians like this. What I hear the minority saying is that they are not the only ones involved in this. But as far back as 1992, the double payment thing existed, and it spanned the Kufuor era as well, and that the current MPP government is also particularly involved in all of this. So they are saying that so if this goes the way we all hope it will go, and we are able to get some solution from it, then it takes us to the next step forward. Excuse me.
Sorry, sir.
It takes us to the next step forward. And that next step is going to be how we move into prosecuting some other bigger persons, yes, and not just parliamentarians.
You say this is systemic. How do we clean up the system when people continue to play blame game?
You see, if it turns out to be systemic failure, which is what it is pointing to, we are not only, it is not only in Ghana. If you read news of our fellow West African countries and other African countries, excuse me, you will see that we are all suffering from the same malaise. The only country that seems to be doing radical things, yes, is Rwanda with Kagame. You know, he has recently closed down several churches in this country. How many? 60,000 churches or so?
A good number of churches.
He has closed them down, and saying that anybody who wants to run a church, then he expects you to have a certification in some theological studies or the other. Now, is that the right direction? Is that the way to go? Are we not going to be curbing people's rights to religious freedom if we did something like that? Yes, but he's not banning churches, and he's not banning religion.
Yes, sir.
He's just saying that I want to see certification. It's like having a school, yes, and saying you must have accreditation.
Yes, sir.
So to a large extent, it is not a bad direction.
Yes,
Whether we should go down that direction, I've heard other people argue that, well, if we're going to do that to the religions,
yes,
the major religions,
yes, sir,
then we cannot do it only for Christianity. We have to do it for the Muslims as well. Okay. And then somebody then put up a message, because we were debating this on our platform, and then somebody else says, okay, so what are we going to do about the witches and the wizards and the and the traditional healers?
Yeah.
Are they also going to have to be certified?
Yes, sir.
In South Africa, they have a qualification. It's a university degree you can take in witchcraft.
Really?
Yes, and
it's certified by the accreditation board.
It's an academic
as a form of dissertation.
Yes, just like you go and do English literature, okay, you can go and do witchcraft studies.
Okay.
So you might find that we will have to get there, where Kweku Bonsam and the rest of them will have to go to university and see
and
they should be able to pass, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Because when the time comes, they just have to conjure up the answers,
yeah,
and submit, so they won't have any problems.
Yeah, when there are stickers flying all around.
Absolutely. So we do have issues in Africa.
Yes, sir.
The unfortunate thing is that Africa is not tackling Africa's problems. Okay. Africa is still addressing its legacy of colonialism, okay, and we are still struggling against a lot of the interference in our life. Up until today, we are still struggling to keep our cocoa to ourselves. Yes, we are still having to deal our cocoa by exporting the beans for somebody else to make chocolate, yes, which we are not doing.
Yes.
We are still not in Ghana. We are not refining gold. We are not doing anything with our diamonds. We don't have a refinery. We don't have a jewelry industry. All of these things need to be addressed somewhere along the line.
So all of these fall part of the systemic deficiencies we have.
All of this, because it all leads to poverty. And it is the poverty that is pushing us where we are going. If these MPs were not poor, or were not struggling, or were finding it easy, there will be no need for them to withhold the second payments on their salary.
Mr. Sidney Kingsley-Hayford, we go for a quick commercial break. We'll be back shortly. Our country, Ghana, and the continent of Africa are usually downgraded and categorized as underdeveloped. Policymakers have found themselves at a crossroads where an economic magic needed to turn a corner has proven to be a needle in a haystack. To this end, Time with Irbard Ibrahim will interrogate the issues, dig deeper, and create a national platform for our team of experts to proffer lasting solutions to these problems of underdevelopment.
Watch Time with Irbard Ibrahim every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. on DTV1.
We are discussing the double salary saga, and we couldn't have had a better pair of competent hands. But Mr. Sidney Kingsley-Hayford, a financial consultant and analyst, you can now join the conversation via text messages, both SMS and WhatsApp. And the number to use is 0552 22 5911. 0552 22 5911, or you can call us on 0302 904 768 0302 904 768. You can find the numbers on the scrolling on your screens. Okay, sir.
Yes.
Sorry I pulled you out on quite a cold evening. This is quite personal, Mr. Hayford. They say technocrats and people in academia like you are shying away from taking official responsibilities. That is why we've gotten where we've gotten now. I read somewhere you said you would have been comfortable serving as mayor of Accra. Have you backtracked on that ambition, or this was just a personal musing you were having in your bedroom?
No, I was serious. I was very serious, but let me correct something. I'm not an academic. I never put myself up as an academic. I have no place in academia.
Yes,
I'm an
sir.
accountant.
Yes, sir.
A chartered accountant by profession.
Yes.
That's what I do.
Yes, sir.
And in chartered accountancy, sorry, this thing is bad. In chartered accountancy, you tend to have a lot of understanding of many things. It's a broad range of subjects before you actually qualify as an accountant. So you get exposed to some law, you get exposed to some economics, you get exposed to many different parts. So you end up doing a lot of analytical work in qualifying.
Yes, sir.
In the run-up in the elections, yes, I wanted to be the mayor of Accra. This is something that I desperately thought I could do very well, and that's what I wanted to do. However, I got sick, and I'm still not very well.
Okay.
So a lot of the offers that were filtered to me as something that I would like to do, I turned down on health grounds. However, I am not very good at bureaucracy. I don't handle bureaucracy very well.
Yes.
So working in a government position might not be the best fit for me. I'm a lot better doing what I'm doing. I love Occupy Ghana and what we are doing. Our fight is never ending. We need to institute a whole regime of good governance across the board in the country. In everything that we do and in every way, we focus on good governance issues. We need to strengthen our institutions. It's a cliche. Everybody says strengthen the institutions, but we want to see people actually doing it. And unfortunately, there's so much power concentrated in the presidency.
Yes,
and we are hoping that somewhere along the line, when we start electing DCEs and MCEs,
yes,
we will be able to devolve authority down into the district level.
But sir, if people like you are to remain on the periphery, doing only advocacy, and of course Occupy Ghana under your tutelage and the tutelage of other leading members has made a mark, isn't it better when you throw yourselves into the mix so that we have good examples like George Magufuli, Paul Kagame, and people serving in government positions that will imbue the youth of this country to become selfless and incorruptible in the future?
It's a double-edged sword.
Yes, sir.
It might work and it might backfire. If you can get yourself into a position where you are unfettered, you have freedom to implement your ideas and your views, then it's okay.
Yes, sir.
But when you're working with the political party structure such as we have, and with the government's form, it's very difficult for you to be given unfettered and unhinged control. So you're not going to get that opportunity to free think like you would like to.
Yes, sir.
In many ways, we as Occupy Ghana are hopefully doing a lot more than many people can possibly achieve in government. I mean, if you look at what we've achieved so far, starting from the genesis of Occupy Ghana and our significant flagship development, which was to get the Auditor General to actually do his disallowance and surcharges,
yes,
we have moved things quite a step forward. We've moved things a step forward.
Yes, sir.
And without blowing my horn, I have to say that we have probably achieved far more in the fight against corruption than any government has probably been able to achieve so far. I mean, we have actually given the Auditor General the opening to be able to prosecute and collect as much money as has been stolen by anybody in this country. And as he gets stronger, and he gets more confident and he builds a bigger and better team, you will see that a lot of the corruption will now be tampered down, and we will not be now looking for people who have corrupted, but we will be preventing them from corrupting the system.
And you can join the discussion via text, and the SMS and WhatsApp line to use is 0552 225911, and you can join us on the phone by calling 0302 904 768 0302 904 768. A few messages for you, Mr. Hayford. Augustine from East Legon says Kesley is seriously making sense. These are the kind of people who need to be speaking to these issues. Joseph from Kumasi says, hi DTV1, you're doing great. This is what others should be doing. And Ernest from Taifa says, hello DTV1, I'm really enjoying your program. And another texter says, my name is Kumi from La Paz. I'm enjoying time with Irbard. Keep it up. So you can also send your messages to 0552 22 5911 or call us on 0302 904 768. And Mr. Hayford, some of the issues you've raised boil down to transparency.
Yes.
When will the right to information bill be passed? So that well-meaning Ghanaians like you will sit on the fence but still be able to glean the needed grainy information to inform the public.
All right. Well, it has been laid before Parliament now. It's supposed to mature in 21 days, so it's going through the paces. Parliament is due back in 3 weeks, so hopefully when they come in, it will be tabled and the time will be slotted on. So we look forward to it. We've waited for so long for the RTI bill. There's no point getting impatient with it at this point. Whether or not it will do what it's supposed to do in terms of whether or not, and that reminds me that we have to give our comments to the Office of Parliament. Sorry. And see whether or not we can help to improve the bill as it is now. So RTI is going to be here, whether we like it or not. It will be here, and hopefully it will be passed in the next.
How soon, sir? How soon, sir? Because people continue to shift to the goalpost. It's just like a mirage. The closer we get, the more unrealistic it becomes. Are you nailing it this time round?
I don't think this government will be able to push it back any more than it's already been pushed back. So I'm expecting that it will be done in the next sitting of Parliament.
Mr. Hayford, MPs have argued that, well, I'm representing a constituency of some 80,000 people. I pay everything between buying a ram for someone's outdooring event and paying school fees. So there is so much pressure and economic strain. Isn't it fair that you diversify your source of revenue so you can cater to the needs of the ordinary people who use their franchise to vote you into power, and therefore drawing salary from Parliament and also in your position as a minister or a deputy minister? Isn't that fair play?
It's not their job. You see, this is one of the biggest challenges we have now. It is not Parliament's job to be looking after people's salaries and welfare. Parliament's job is to pass laws. The district chief executives and the municipal and metropolitan chief executives, their job is to ensure that we develop the communities. That's why the system is set up that way. We have mayoral positions in the metropolises, and those mayors are supposed to be the ones who, together with the traditional chiefs, and this is where we are not doing this very well, but together with the traditional chiefs, they are supposed to help to improve the community. Our people naturally gravitate towards their traditional chiefs.
Yes, sir.
They expect their chiefs to take care of them, to look after their welfare and to improve their small little villages and communities. And we should continue to do that.
Yes, sir.
What we have now, it's not very good, because you have these parliamentary constituencies
Yes, sir.
that don't line up exactly with the districts.
Okay.
So you have your 275 currently what we have constituencies, and then you don't have as many as 230 districts. So they don't mesh.
Can I cut you in?
Sure.
Cut you short. Ishmael Chumesi from Kumasi. Ishmael, you're welcome to the program, Ishmael. Hello, Ishmael.
Yeah, good.
Hello, Ishmael from Kumasi.
Yes, please.
Welcome to the show, Ishmael Chumesi.
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome.
Yeah, we are enjoying your program.
Thank you.
God bless you. And we hope you continue to do it like this, always not making just NDC, NPP, but good people like Mr. Kesley, so that we can also enjoy a better program like this. We hope you keep it up. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're most welcome. And we are grateful to Mr. Hayford for making time, despite his ill health, to join us in the studio. You can call into the show. The number to call is 0302-904-768, 0302-904-768, and I'll soon read your next batch of text messages. So you can use SMS or WhatsApp to 0552 225911, 0552 225911. Mr. Hayford, people have vouched for the fact that you are strictly non-partisan, and I believe you'll be able to keep that clean sheet. Chumesi says he's enjoying you because
thank you very much. I'm strictly non-partisan because I don't support a particular party's views completely. In terms of politics, I am neither here nor there. I don't believe in social democracy, so I don't support the NDC. To a large extent, I believe in what the MPP is doing, except I disagree with this big government situation. I don't agree that we should have 110 ministers. I don't agree with the 998 persons staffing the government machinery. I don't believe that we need to have all this big government sitting at Jubilee House and trying to control everything from the center. So to that extent, I don't agree with where the NPP is with this. However, a lot of the time, I cannot see social democracy as a way forward to solving our problems. I believe in indigenization. I think that Ghana has to sit down with the people that you are calling on. Right? You are calling on your academics and your intellectuals and your whatnots. I think that we need a national debate, a national discussion. We need to sit down and determine how we are going to structure our systems, our administration and our politics in order to be able to make it comfortable for us as Ghanaians. We like our village and our clans and our family. We like our chiefs. We like that system. That's what we grew up on. That's what we believe in. There is no reason why we can't fashion our democratic ways of doing things to reflect that, so that it becomes a natural part of us, and you don't need to have to go down to the village level to go and explain to them what Parliament does. Our villages and our communities should know naturally that this is what they expect people to do. All right, like nobody goes and asks, nobody will ask you that, because they know already. They know what they expect of their chief. But people can ask you, if the Speaker of Parliament knows what's now. So we need to get to a point where we actually take our life and our community and our development, and then make it the way we actually fashion our democracy. For me, I so disagree with this phrase of "seek ye first the political kingdom." And all I don't believe in it at all. You need economic development. You need to get people employed. People must have work. People must be able to earn income. They must be able to have a life, and they must be able to be happy with where they are. If you can fix that, and get everybody to a point where they are actually beginning to feel like as if what taxes they are paying is being used to develop their country and they are comfortable there, they will then now in turn want something more from you. Okay. But until we fix that economic and financial matter, we are not going to be able to do anything.
I'll come back to you momentarily. Dixon from Sunyai. Good evening, Dixon. Hello, Dixon. Hello, Dixon. Hello, Dixon. Okay, I think we lost Dixon. He was calling. He was calling from Sunyai. Yeah. So, you mentioned the fact that there is a yawning gap between the ordinary Ghanaians and then what Parliament does and what governance is all about. Is there an important component of Occupy Ghana that, apart from seeking accountability, you would be doing the work of the NCCE through outreach?
No. That's not what we are about at all. We believe in institutional structures. So if the National Civic Commission is there, it should do its job. We will insist that it does its job. Yes. That's what it should do. The Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice has to do its job. Yes. The Auditor General must do its job. We are not going to do anybody's job for them, but we are going to be watching them and insisting that they should do their job according to the mandate that they have has been imposed on them. That's all.
Okay. Mr. Kisley Hayford is here, a financial consultant. Yeah, hi. Hello. Where are you calling us from? Hello?
Hello.
Okay, Abdulrazak from Kumasi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, the floor is yours. You can make your contribution or ask Mr. Hayford any question you have.
Oh, okay. We are happy for you to organize this education program.
You are not audible. And can you speak louder, Abdulrazak from Kumasi?
Actually, I'm appreciating the program we just on this one. Who are listening on what we just on. And now we are getting maybe about something. So I've let us on now.
Okay, sorry Abdulrazak, you are not too audible, but you say you appreciate what Mr. Hayford is doing. He appreciates your time as well. You can also call us on 0302-904-768 or send us an SMS or a WhatsApp text on 0552-225911. Mr. Hayford, Kujo from Koforidia says he really loves you.
Oh, Kujo, thank you very much.
So maybe your mayoral, ambition should move to the eastern region.
Maybe I should go to Koforidia and become mayor there.
Yes. So, of course, we are still discussing the double salary saga.
Yeah.
And some also have argued that people want to do some luminary politicians in, knowing so well that in the next parliament or in the next two elections, they are going to play important roles. When you read between the lines, do you see any modicum of witch hunting in this, or people are just crying foul?
I don't see. I think it was Bagbin, Alban Bagbin, who put that story out there, that he's aware of those who are trying to undermine him. For me, that's a story that he put out, and until there is evidence and he's actually prepared to mention some people's names, I put it aside. I'm not even going to bother myself with it. I don't have time to be chasing all small rumors flying around the whole country. If I did that, I'd never get any work done. So for me, this is neither here nor there. I don't think it's important. They can do their political infighting if that's what they have. Let's see how the chips fall.
Okay. You can call us on 0302-904-768. Many people have been asking, your dad, we are told, was was a great engineer, and you are counting figures, you are crunching numbers today. What kind of a legacy, even though I'm not profiling you on this show, you serve as a great inspiration to many people. How would you want us to remember you?
Oh dear. Irbard,
Yes, sir.
how do I answer that question? I don't think I've even started what I want to do yet.
Oh, great.
There's a lot more I think we can achieve as we go forward. I'll tell you one of my pet things that I want us to try and do in Ghana. I think we should move away from the first past the post system of voting and get into a kind of proportional representation.
Okay.
We can craft something based on the way our society revolves, and come up with a first past proportional representation, which I think will be better, because our society likes young kambum. Everybody should come, let's try and see if we can improve. And I think that is something that we really have to look at. This is at the heart of what the Ghanaian is. The coming together to help each other, to get families to rise, to get communities to rise, cities to develop, etc., etc. When you read the news and you hear the amount of pressure that is put on the Asantehene, for example, in Kumasi, despite the fact that there's a mayor of Kumasi, their chief executives and their district chief executives, but everybody expects the Asantehene to improve Kumasi and to improve the Ashanti region. You can see that this is the expectation of the people, of his people. And there has to be something in there which, like I said earlier, if we can sit down, think about it, go through the motions, determine how we can make it work on our behalf, because this is the way we are in our society, I think we would be better off. You see, what we are doing now, this parliamentary thing that we are doing, this is a British parliamentary system. We have taken that and we have spliced onto it an American presidential style system. So the president is all powerful, and yet we're expecting parliament to check the president. And it's not working. Anybody who tells me that this system is working, I'll call a liar. Because if it is working, show it to me in the economic development. All right? You can't tell me that because we get up and we go to work every day and we have parliamentary discussions and debates, therefore our society, has improved. It hasn't. End of the day, if we have so many young people who don't have work and can't earn a living and they can't stand on their own 2 feet and get their lives going, then we have failed.
And I'll come back to you, Mr. Hayford, so that we wrap up. Daniel, you are our last caller. Daniel, good evening. Thanks for making time.
Good evening, Irbard. I'm grateful for this show. I've been waiting for it to come on air, and thank God today it's on the air. I think if Ghana would have to move forward, everybody must be patriotic. So I think that if some money has been paid to some people, they should return the money. Seriously, I mean, it's getting too much on our nerves as a Ghanaian, and we're facing such a problem. It shouldn't be a case of study or anything of that sort. So I believe that if we're supposed to do things like from now, we should set it as and then move forward as Ghanaians. It should not be even a case about. We should return the money.
Okay, and Danny, Danny, thank you so much. You are my last caller. Mr. Hayford, I will tell you a story because my background.
Is there anything he wants me to reply to?
No.
Okay.
My background is in diplomacy, and I was sitting with a former Swiss ambassador. Then he pointed to a voluminous book. He told me, Irbard, this is the constitutional review that has been done to your constitution, but what has been implemented is close to zilch. And this mammoth proposition you are making will take years of lecturing in lecture halls, doing a lot of authorships. Can a pressure group achieve this, Mr. Hayford?
We have started. The journey of 1,000 miles always starts with the first step.
Yes, sir.
So we have started. It's a pity that our Constitutional Review Commission did some work. They were paid. They published a report. and that report is sitting on shelves somewhere and not moving forward. That is an indictment on us as a country, that we don't even value the cost of doing something like that, and we have let it be and we are not implementing it. And we should not wait for anybody from Sweden or elsewhere to come and tell us this. This is what I said earlier, and I'll say it again.
Yes, sir.
We should sit down and really look at what we are doing. We have to shaft and shape things such a way that it reflects us as a people. Ghanaians are now, and Ghana is now in a position where we know what we want. We actually understand how we want to portray ourselves. When President Trump called some African countries shitholes, social media was all agog with rage. Even though we were first to accept that, yes, we cannot say that this country is not a shithole, because it is. All right?
Yes,
and it's a shithole because if you go to the beaches, it's full of shit. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And people don't like to hear things like that, but that is what it is. Go down to Chok, or go down to any of the beaches, the Central Beach and everywhere, and you will see you can't walk half a mile without stepping into something foul. Go to Labadi Beach, it's all over. Sorry. So we have a problem, and we should accept it. But it's very difficult when somebody looks you in the face and tells you the truth, and especially when that person is not saying it with any good intention. So yes, we did get upset, and yes, I agree. I was very vocal about it. Yes. Didn't agree with it completely, but I was also first to let my fellow Ghanaians know. But let's accept the truth. Yes. Look at the recent one with Moisha Budong. All right, look at what Moisha said and did, and it's on international media. Yes, she has a right to say that she's a prostitute. Yes, she has a right to say that she's been looked after by a man, but she had no right to say that this is what the majority of women in Ghana do. And that's the difference that we are trying to push. So we are at a point now where we know what we like and we know what we want to be said about us. Ghanaians now understand exactly how they want to be described. They are very clear in their mind the kind of image that we want to portray both nationally and internationally, and we won't accept certain things.
Okay. Say this in a word. Would you advocate for the imprisonment or incarceration of any former MP who's been stripped of his immunity but took double salary and during the time of the Estua regime to be jailed?
Yes.
Any reason?
No, you said I should answer with one word.
Okay. Mr. Hayford, thank you so much for making time. Mr. Sidney Kisley Hayford, a financial consultant. He has a blend of academic sobriety and a little bit of humor. It's been a great pleasure having you, and this show has been produced by a tall list of hard-working people. My executive producer has been Mr. George Nugent. My direct producers have been Peter Joyla Lambon, Johnson Everlasting. Programs director has been Godfred Aite. MCR has been manned by Philip Hammond Quay and Duke Yao, and also my cameramen have been Ernest Ansa, and the head of production, my cameraman, and the head of production has been Eric Beido. Thank you so much for making time. So we come your way with another edition of Time with Irbard. Stay blessed.